What's up, my friend? Abbie here, and welcome back to Ask Abbie, where I answer your writing questions and help you make your story matter. If you've been here on my channel this month, you know that I am releasing a new book super soon, which I'm so excited about. It is a Christmas book. It's a follow-up to 100 Days of Sunlight. You can learn all about it in this video right here when I announced it. And I wish I had like a better update to give you guys. I wish I could tell you guys to go and order or pre-order the paperbacks and hardcovers, but they're not ready quite yet. There was an error. It was super annoying. I had to fix something on the book jacket art and had to reorder them. And they're currently shipping to me, supposedly. I went into the tracking info and it wasn't there, so. Hopefully that arrives within a couple of days and I can verify that the proof is good and submit the paperbacks and the hardcovers to be distributed, and you guys will be able to pre-order them. So I'm really excited for that moment. One more thing before we get into the questions today. Last year, if you were on my channel here in November last year, you know that I did something special for NaNoWriMo called Letters from Abbie, and it was a 30-day writing journey where I sent you a personalized letter to your inbox every day of NaNoWriMo, and it was really fun, and I'm going to be doing that again this year. So the announcement's coming soon with all the details about how to sign up if you're doing NaNoWriMo. If you're doing it, comment below and tell me, what is your nano project about? Are you excited? I personally am going to be way too busy to do NaNoWriMo this year because of publishing this book, but I'm so excited to join you for your journey and to show up with you every day. More on all of that coming soon. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye on the channel, subscribe, notifications, all of that. And for now, tell me what you are working on this November. Now, let's get to the questions. I have some great questions here from you guys. I cannot wait to answer them. So roll that intro and let's get started.
Why does your story matter? Good question. What if I told you that there's a science behind every great story? I don't just teach you how to write. I teach you how to change the world with your story and make your author dreams come true.
In case you're new around here and you're not sure how this works, here's the deal. You submit questions to the show and I show up here on YouTube once a month and answer some of those questions. I usually pick 3 to 4 questions, and here is how you submit questions. There are 2 ways. First way is to hit the join button below this video and get on the inside of the YouTube community. Go to the community tab. You will see a post for Ask Abbie. Submit your questions there. Or you can go to patreon.com/AbbieEmmons, join the Inner Circle Facebook group and submit your questions there. Just make sure you hashtag your post in the Facebook group, hashtag Ask Abbie, so that I see it. Okay, let's get to the questions. First question is from Aimless Aimer. When writing internal conflict, how do I portray my character's misbelief without being too on the nose? Is there such a thing as being too on the nose when it comes to this? How aware of their misbelief should a character be? Upon thinking about this subject, I could see that varying from character to character, though of course they wouldn't see it as a misbelief, just a belief. But even if they are aware of this misbelief, how much should a writer show it versus leaving it for the reader to interpret? If the character is very aware of the thing they believe, though again, not knowing it's faulty, should a writer be less cryptic about it? And last question, what kind of methods could you use to get across a misbelief-driven internal conflict without being too on the nose about what the misbelief is? Okay, so this is really all about showing versus telling, which I made a video a little while ago about showing versus telling internal conflict, and it is almost exactly answering your question here. So definitely check out that video. I will link it right here in the corner. It's all about different ways to show internal conflict instead of just coming right out and telling your reader what the character's internal conflict is. My favorite method, which I talk about in that video, is showing the reader your character's backstory. That to me is like the absolute best way to show your reader why your character believes what they believe. Where did these beliefs come from? Because every belief we currently have came from something in our past. Okay, it doesn't have to be like some big traumatic experience. It could have been, or it could have been just something subtle over the years that we adopted as truth. However, there are other ways to show your character's internal conflict other than their backstory or going into flashbacks. Although I love flashbacks and I love backstory, I realize that you can't spend the whole story in the past, obviously. You have to be showing us why what's happening now matters. to the characters. So with showing and not telling, it's really all about actions. It's about actions and decisions and goals. Goals usually are the thing that your character is taking action towards, okay? And your character, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, your character must always be aware of their own goals and can make the reader aware of it, okay? You don't have to be too subtle about their goals because they know what they want. They might not know why they want it or why they view this goal as ultimate happiness, but they know what they want. They have a very clear goal that they are trying to accomplish, okay? The most compelling way that I've found to show internal conflict, to show your character's misbelief, is through their decision-making process. So your character has to make choices all the time, right? And every choice they make should be fundamentally based on their beliefs, based on what they want. What do they want? What are they going after? Every decision they make is a step in pursuit of that goal. And that process alone, showing us that decision-making process, shows us what they believe. Okay, they don't need to stop and think about, here are my beliefs, this is what I believe. And then we start to see, okay, that's kind of actually not true. That's kind of a misbelief. That's kind of toxic that you hold on to that belief. We don't even need to stop and do that. We don't even need to see that. We don't need the character to introspect about their own beliefs. We just need to watch the character making decisions, okay, navigating their life, trying to get what they want. And why do they want what they want? Inevitably, they will fall back on their fear. They will have that fear, that voice in the back of their mind telling them, what if? So like, quick example. Let's say your character is like an overachiever and they have this misbelief that success equals happiness. And in order to be happy and feel fulfilled, I have to be successful. And other people have to see me as successful and accomplished and like reaching a certain level. And let's say in your story, this character like gets a promotion or something. And through their decision-making process, they go about telling everyone else that they know about their promotion, kind of bragging a little bit, talking about themselves, trying to be seen as successful, but inside they're actually not really happy. They're not really fulfilled. They actually feel like, I have not reached a level of success. They're not even proud of themselves for the promotion, but they make sure that everybody else knows about it. What does that tell us about their character? They don't even need to stop and tell me, the reader, by the way, I believe that I'm not happy unless I'm successful, and I need other people to see me as successful. Like, that's apparent. That is apparent now to me because I watched this character make strategic decisions based on their beliefs, and that shows me. It's like a window pane into their internal conflict. Hopefully that helps, but definitely check out that other video I mentioned because that goes deeper into different methods of showing internal conflict. Okay, next question is from Tanya. I plotted my whole novel from my protagonist's point of view and then found out about subplots. I feel very stuck because I know I have to basically plot whole new stories with my side characters, and it's very confusing putting these stories into my already polished, 3-act story structure template. I feel like I've done so much and I have to undo and rebuild the whole thing with my side characters, and I feel stuck. Can you give me some structure I can follow so this process doesn't feel so jelly-like? I'm trying to make everything affect and matter to my protagonist, but it's feeling messy. So this is definitely a problem that I've run into as well in the past, where I realize, okay, well, I figured out my main character's character arc, but I don't really have anything going for my side characters. And I say character arc instead of story structure because that's really what it is. And if you're using my 3-act story structure template, which it sounds like you are, that focuses way more on character arc and character development than your typical 3-act story structure. I have kind of tailored the 3-act story structure to focus way more on internal conflict and character development. And I do that because that is obviously what makes your story matter. It's what makes your story memorable and meaningful to your reader. But you also have side characters and you want to have subplots. But I've talked about this in the past. Subplots are basically a side character's character arc. You can think of it as a side character's plot, but it's really a side character's arc. And I like thinking about it like this because it brings more meaning to your side characters. It makes them more meaningful to the story and also to the protagonist. I've made 2 videos about side characters, one about subplots, one about side characters. They're kind of the same thing, but a little bit different, nuanced differences. In one of those videos, which I'll link them here in the corner, in one of those videos I gave out like a little template. It can hardly even be called a template because it's really just like a fill in the blank paragraph that really helps me to hone in on my side characters' plots and their arc. And basically it's a prompt where you ask yourself, what is their role in the story? How are they related to the protagonist? And what kind of journey do they go on the side? Okay, what do they learn as a result of their journey? Or what do they learn as a result of watching the protagonist's journey? But if you're not going into their point of view, you don't have to worry too much about, deconstructing your whole outline in order to include them. They will naturally find ways into your story. Okay, make room for them, definitely, but don't feel like you have to do like major excavation on your 3-act story structure in order to include, designated time for them. Because the thing is this, they should really be sharing the story with your main character. When we hit the pause button on the main character's story to go and visit the side characters, it better be super meaningful. Okay, it better be meaning something to the main character and to the main plot itself. Otherwise, it is kind of a distraction. Definitely check out both of those videos on side characters and subplots. One of them I use as a case study, the character of Jane Bennett from Pride and Prejudice. And in the other one, I case study the characters of Emma and how they all work together to create just such a good story that matters to the main character. Both those videos are very concise, more concise than I'm being today. So definitely check those out. Okay, next question is from Elates. First of all, thank you for your content. It is always helpful. And of course, thank you for your novel, 100 Days of Sunlight. It was a delightful and inspiring experience to read it. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you loved it. Basically, I have 2 questions. Is it possible to use any Scrivener tools to make a timeline so that I'm not constantly lost in my novel's world? Mac version. The timeline struggle is real. I have definitely struggled with timelines in the past with different writing projects. Kate and I struggled with it recently with our co-write project, but the way that I have been able to make the most sense of a story's timeline is using a calendar. And you can do this in Scrivener. What I usually do is I find some sort of calendar that I can copy and paste. Usually I go to Evernote. I'm sure there's probably an easier way to do this, but I go to Evernote and I create a calendar in Evernote and then I copy and paste it into Scrivener, into a new document that's called Timeline in my Scrivener project. And in each little box, each little cell of the calendar, I write what is happening in that day. Even if I have to make up a fictitious month, a fictitious year for my story, if I can see it from a calendar perspective, it makes so much more sense to me. And so I kind of just write bullet point style what happens in each day of the timeline. Because then if I'm confused later when I'm writing something happening later on in the book and I'm like, when did that other thing happen? I can just go back to my calendar and I can see very clearly, okay, that happened on this day. And I can even have like a day of the week that it happened on and make sure I stick to that and all the dates and all the days of the week are consistent. This has been something that helped me so much when I was writing the Lighthouse book. It's helping me a lot while I'm writing this co-write project with my sister. So yeah, that's what I do to make sense of my timelines. Okay, second part of your question. The second question is more of a therapeutic one. I'm damned stuck in the first act. This novel has been a personal journey of empowering myself as a writer and as a person for years. The first draft was a complete mess because it wasn't intended to be published. In the second draft, I already had the courage to consider the goal of publishing it, and so I improved the manuscript, but there's a lot to polish yet in all aspects. Story, plot, characters, voice. Now, I don't even know if this is my 3rd or 4th draft already, and I can't stop changing the first act, which I really believe has to improve. I get lost in my notes, I feel insecure, but at the same time, I know I've walked a long path towards empowerment. I've recently taken my writing career more seriously, and I've bought a wonderful new iMac, a new desk, and a Scrivener account, but that's the easier part. Now, how can I leave my insecurities behind, reflect my journey, knowledge, new power in my novel, and go on with it? Repeat after me. I am a brilliant writer. The world needs my story. I've got this. First off, you should be super, super proud of yourself that you have come this far. And you should be proud of yourself that you have stuck to this path of self-empowerment and believing in yourself and chasing your dreams. That is awesome, and you should be proud of yourself for that. Every step in the journey of self-empowerment or gaining confidence or believing in yourself, however you want to say it, every step in that path is meaningful, okay? And it brings you somewhere new. It brings you somewhere that you've never been before. So each step is sacred, and you should be proud of taking those steps, even if you're not quite where you want to be yet. I have found personally in my own experience that the life-changing thing for me was changing the way I talk to myself and talk about myself. The self-talk, positive self-talk, literally changed my life, changed my career. You are only as powerful and as confident as you believe yourself to be, okay? And people will treat you the way that you treat yourself. People will take you as seriously as you take yourself. Okay, so you want people to take your book seriously, your story. You want people to take your writing seriously and take your career seriously, take you seriously. You first have to take yourself seriously, take your book seriously. And it will feel like you're faking at first. Okay, there's a reason why the saying fake it till you make it is so popular, because that's what it feels like. It feels like you're faking. But I've always had a little bit of objection to that phrase, because it's really not faking it. Because if you were acting in confidence, okay, and you're saying to yourself, okay, fake it till you make it, I'm gonna pretend that I'm confident. Okay, well, wait a minute. You pretending you're confident is actually you acting out of confidence. So, are you really pretending, or are you just being confident? Could you be like this all the time? It's an interesting question to pose to yourself. Could you be like this all the time? Could you always have this attitude of, I'm a brilliant author. I've created something meaningful. I want to share it with the world because the world needs it. It matters to somebody. So I love that you've set up physical triggers. That is also so important. Having a designated writing space, having a beautiful computer that you can write on, and the right software that works for you that can maximize your creative potential. All of those things are so good because you are taking yourself seriously. You're taking those steps towards taking your writing career seriously. But how can you change, even in small ways, just the way that you think of yourself and talk to yourself? Now, I'm not telling you to be smug or self-important or boastful in front of others, but it can't hurt to be a little bit self-important with yourself. I'm speaking from experience. I do this all the time. I constantly praise my writing, my creative endeavors, anything that I make. If I actually see it and I'm proud of it and I'm like, that was well done, I compliment myself out loud. Yeah, sometimes I sound crazy, but I compliment myself out loud. I'll tell myself, that was awesome. You did a great job on that. I'm awesome. I'm a great writer. And I say those things to myself all the time because it helps me to boost my confidence and to go forward and continue to work with a good attitude, with an attitude of, I know what I'm doing. Even if I don't, okay? I'm not saying that I'm like, okay, I'm done learning. Nothing left to learn. Like, absolutely not. There's always something to learn. I am forever a student of life and forever a student of writing, constantly learning new things. But take a moment to appreciate how far you have come, because writing is an art, it's a practice, it's something that will go on into your future forever. You will always be learning and practicing and trying new things. So you'll never reach a place where you've got it all. And even if you have bad writing days, it's okay. Even if you have writing that you're not proud of, you hate it, in fact, you want to burn it, that's okay, because what you can say to yourself, even in that scenario, is my writing is either great or it is making me great. Okay? No in between. There's no bad writing. There's no bad writing. It is either great or it is making you great. I firmly believe that every time you sit down and practice your art, that practice is not wasted. Okay? It doesn't matter if you're not proud of it or you're not happy with it, how it came out. That's okay. It is not wasted because it has brought you experience, and experience is invaluable. So me and Kate talk about confidence all the time on our podcast. And if you haven't seen our podcast, check it out here. I'm going to link in the corner an episode about confidence for writers because we have several episodes about that, but it's something that we keep coming back to because it's an ever-present struggle for a lot of writers and for ourselves included. And we always bring something new to the table whenever we talk about it, things that we have learned in our personal experience as authors that have helped us to continue that journey of self-empowerment, to feel proud of where we've been and excited about the future. All right, that's it. Awesome questions, guys. As always, thank you so much. And I hope you got value out of my replies. If you want to submit questions to the show, you can do that two ways. First way is to hit the join button below this video or go to patreon.com/AbbieEmmons. Get yourself inside the Inner Circle group there and post your question on the Facebook group, hashtag AskAbbie so that I see it. And maybe next time I will answer your question. Smash that like button if you liked this video and be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already because I post writing videos every single Wednesday and I would love to have you here in the community. Until next week, my friend, rock on. The story ended up being like 55,000 words or something. It was like a really short book. And it felt like there could have been more. I don't even know how to like explain it, but it was almost like my brain like set this goalpost as like when you reach that, you're done. And so I was just like trying to get to that place.